good morning, good morning. There's a squealing on somebody's side. Yo, gentlemen, can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you too.
Is there echo on you guys side?
Yeah, you're echoing.
Yeah, you're echoing.
Just one second.
Well, welcome to Coffee and Sports in the Morning, everyone.
Yeah, there's a echo. Everybody's talking. Yeah, I can hear an echo.
All right, good morning, everybody. I think the echo is gone. I don't know what happened, but hey, we here. This is Coffee and the Sports Morning Show. This is what happened when Freddie hosts the morning show. Sorry, Chris, but we'll get things right back in line, right back on track, just like we do at the Sports Empire Network. You must be wondering, where's the intro? Well, let's debut Sports Empire Network's brand new intro. Let's go.
What are we talking about? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40! Can't wait! Let's go!
Man, I just love that intro. Like, it's dope. It's different. Like, we all hear Skip Bayless talking about the new Little Wayne intro for Undisputed, which I give him credit. It is nice. Probably the only thing nice on the show. But man, that's a dope intro right there. Shout out to my guy Jeremy Green for the dope intro. Um, but gentlemen, would like to welcome the best panel of the morning show, Mo Better. What's going on, Mo?
What's good with you, Freddie? Everybody in the chat. What's up, Brett?
Hey, how's it going?
And like Mo said, we got Brett in the building. What's going on? Guardy 3.
Hey, not much. I'm just ready to talk some sports this morning.
There we go. And shout out to everybody in the chat. We see you guys filling up in the chat. Good morning to you guys. But gentlemen, ladies and girls, and boys and girls of all ages, football is back. The NFL is back. We just had our first sample of it last night. And I must say, who would have thought if we would have had a game like we had last night? In the past, you would have had the Detroit Lions going against the Chiefs. Everybody been like, oh, it's gonna be just one of those old fashioned blowouts. Ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't like that. It was not a blowout. It was an interesting game, an entertaining game, a game down the wire. The Detroit Lions won 21-20. And we all know that Travis Kelce did not play. Chris Jones did not play. But still, Mo, give us your reaction of last night.
It was a really good game. I mean, it's all you could hope for an opening night game. But the way it played out for Kansas City offensively, it didn't surprise me. There was going to be a struggle because of how much Mahomes relies on Travis Kelce and what he can do, getting downfield, drawing double teams. So I thought it was a really good game, a competitive game. And really, if you look at the way Kansas City played defensively, their defense held up pretty well without Jones. And Had they had Jones, I'm sure that would have turned the tide of the game. The struggle, and you could say this for both teams, was offensively. Patrick Mahomes' wide receivers really couldn't get separation. And when they could, they couldn't catch the football. So the Kansas City Chiefs, look, coming into this season, we said minus Travis Kelce, who else on the outside can make plays? And that's still a big question mark for this team. And when you look at Detroit, their defense played well. You'd have to actually question, I would say, the consistency of their offense, because I thought Detroit did a lot to bolster up their firepower, but they look kind of stagnant throughout the game, and that's a credit to Kansas City's defense. They bend a lot, but they didn't break. Very good, great first game, very competitive, but I thought it was more about the defenses than the offenses.
Got you. Good morning, Gene. Got Gene in the comments. He said the most disappointing part of the game was the Lions' offense to me. No Chris Jones, a crap secondary, and they only scored 14 offensive points. Um, hey, Brett, just like Gene said, he said the Detroit's offense. But when we're talking about the defense of the Chiefs, Chris Jones has been the heart of that defense, for a while now. We've seen the plays in the playoffs. We've seen plays in the Super Bowl. Were you more impressive about the Chiefs' defense without him, or are you more disappointed in the Lions' offense?
It's a mixture of both. I thought the Chiefs' defense really they competed. They played their heart
Yes,
out. Like
yes,
they did well. They only allowed 14 points, but yeah, I was slightly disappointed in the Lions' offense as well. I thought they should have been able to do a lot more. One bright spot is I like how Jameer Gibbs was making people miss left and right last night. I thought he was pretty impressive in his
he
rookie
was
game.
nice.
So overall, yeah, I think the Chiefs competed. They did very well, but the Lions got to be able to do more if they want to go somewhere this season.
Hey, I see Coach comments. I'm about to go into that. I'm going to tell y'all this right now. In Patrick Mahomes' career, he probably had the most cleanest career in NFL history. And what I mean by that is this is a guy that I don't believe have experienced any pressure. This is a guy that have not experienced any putback, any flack, or anything like that. What I mean, Mo, because I see how you're looking. What I mean is like a guy like Aaron Rodgers. Okay, let's take him for example. He's been criticized. He's been put under the gun, been put under pressure, put under all that stuff. But you know what, Patrick Mahomes, since day one, he came in the league winning. He came in winning. I mean, his first year he threw like 50 touchdowns. I mean, this guy come in there, wins the Super Bowl real quick in his career. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He won MVP. I mean, he's won. So of course he's not going to experience any criticism. But I really believe this might be the first year. And it won't be because of him. It won't be because of him. It'll be because his wideouts can't catch a football. I look at Kadarius Toney multiple times last night. You talking about somebody who stunk up the joint? It was him.
That dude.
If even in the fourth quarter, like 3 minutes left, Patrick Mahomes created a perfect play for him, right in his hands. Hey, he would have had some type of separation where he could have made a big play out of it. He was so nervous that he didn't even extend his hands out to catch the football. I mean, it was just that bad.
That's called
So
alligator arms.
Yep. So the question is, who's more important? Travis Kelce to that offense, or Chris Jones, or C, they need to call somebody. If I was the general manager of the Chiefs last night, I would have been on the phone. I would have called 2 organizations,
Tampa
two of them.
Bay. Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay for Mike Evans, and I would have called the New Orleans Saints to ask about Michael Thomas. Because clearly, With I didn't say anything in this all season, but I never understood why. And we all know Juju Smith-Schuster is not a number one option, but he's a piece. I didn't understand why they're letting all their receivers go. Why they lose him and they didn't replace. I could have sworn when the DeAndre Hopkins situation was coming out that they was going to call for him to make a trade for him. I thought that was going to be a thing. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Right now, this Chiefs team is not scary. This team don't scare anybody. Like, let's just be honest. When they had Tyreek Hill, they had Kelsey and the crew and the complementary pieces around them, teams was afraid of them. Because how can you stop it? How can you stop Mahomes on the outside? How can you stop Kelsey? I mean, how can you stop Hill? So, Mo, if you was the general manager, what would you do to continue the legacy for this team, to continue to put them in winning situations, to continue to put them in a winning position?
They need another playmaker. But I will say this: it's one game. It's the first game. They lost by 1 point, and I would say that the receivers, yes, they didn't play well. Patrick Mahomes didn't play his best football game. But remember, you get a healthy Kelsey back, and even though I don't think that's a great receiving core, he makes those receivers better. He makes everybody else step their game up. And not to mention, he gives them better opportunities because of all the attention that he draws. So if I'm the GM, I still would be considering going out and trying to get another wide receiver, another legit playmaker, but I'm not going to panic after game one, not until I see what the offense looks like with the fully healthy Travis Kelsey, because he will be impactful and he will open up a lot of things for those receivers underneath and in the seams.
All right, Brett. You've been rooting for a team in the NFC North. I don't know about all your life, but I know you've been ever since you've been in Sports Empire. You've been rooting for them. You know, and Detroit has been the laughing stock of that division for years. Have been the laughing stock, brother. Like hey, it was so bad. Your Green Bay Packers thought that was a bye week when y'all played against Detroit. Y'all thought that was another bye week. That's how bad it was. But things have changed, and we seen toward the end of last season that Detroit was coming. We seen it, and you talking about a momentum swing, a team that's been struggling and has some type of momentum towards the end of last year, comes in on the ring ceremony, an opening night, and knock out the defending champions opening night. Is it time to consider the Detroit Lions the favorite in the NFC North? And before you comment, sir, I want to correct a comment that just popped up on the screen by my brother Gene. He said Brett isn't like you, bro. He stay consistent with his teams. What are you trying to say I do? I don't do. I stay consistent. Last time I checked, I was a Giants fan. Just saying. Good morning, Doug. Doug came in here and he said they won the Super Bowl without Hill. Just one game. Kelsey's coming back. Everything goes back to normal. Hey, Doug, we hope so. We hope so. All right, Brett.
So coming into the year, I think the Lions honestly should have been the betting favorites to win the NFC North. They really should have just been the favorites this entire time. After last night, I think that's going to give a lot more people confidence going forward in that prediction. I still would like to see a little more consistency out of their offense.
It's brand new.
I do think that it is that the Lions just always should have been since the beginning of the year, or just the end of last year, been the pick to win the North this offseason. The rest of the North teams have flaws. They're pretty brutal flaws too. So yeah, I think it's all Lions. I think it's going to be the Lions. They're the favorites, and they should have been the favorites since the end of last year.
Mo, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think Detroit is the best team in that division. They're the most balanced team when you look at what they have on both sides of the football. And I think Jared Goff, he's mastered the system that they put him in. I don't know if he's a top 10 quarterback, but he's a good enough. He's a very good quarterback. He's gotten a bad rap, I guess, since he left the Rams. But in that system, with the weapons that he has at his disposal, I expect a big season from Jared Goff. That said, do I think they run away with the division? I do not. I think they win the division, but I think the Vikings will be competitive. I think the Bears will be better. And while I'm not expecting Green Bay to be a playoff threat, I think the Packers will be respectable. They might be the worst team in that division, but what's the worst team? Well, they win 6 or 7 games. Everything that hinges on the Packers' success, even with the great running backs that they have, it's how well Jordan Love can lead that team. And he doesn't have to be all pro, but he's going to have to play at a consistent level to make them competitive. I saw what he did in the preseason. I want to see if he can carry that over into the regular season.
So, DeAndre Hopkins was a free agent. Well, let me rephrase that. DeAndre Hopkins was allowed to be. Oh, did the Cardinals release DeAndre Hopkins, or was he?
They released him.
Yeah,
Yeah, they released him. So he was a free agent. DeAndre Hopkins was a free agent, so he could choose to go wherever he wanted to go. Apparently, he called a few teams. But the teams did not return. There's a few teams that did not return his phone call. I'm going to go over the list. Who did not call DeAndre Hopkins? And we all know how worldwide of a talent that DeAndre Hopkins is. We all know of how star-studded receiver this brother is. It don't matter who your quarterback is. It could be me, it can be Brett, it can be Mo, it can be anybody. Because we've seen him play with nobodies and still be a star-studded receiver. So, the Dallas Cowboys didn't return his call. The New York Giants did not return his call. The Detroit Lions did not return his call. And the 49ers did not return his call. Do you guys have a problem with this? And if so, what team do you have the most problem out of? Brad, I'll start you off on this one.
To me, this one's really easy. It's the Giants. I think they still need more receiving weapons on the outside, and I don't think Darren Waller's enough. And then you're going to put too much on Saquon, you might lead to an injury with him. So if there's a team that needed more receiving weapons, I still think it would have been the Giants. I think the Lions would be second on that list. I think then followed by the Cowboys, and then the 49ers probably need them the least because I don't think they'll be that competitive this year. So
What?
You don't think San Francisco's going to be competitive this year?
That's a hot take.
let me rephrase that. I think they'll compete. I just don't think they'll be very good. I think they'll be a borderline wild card team.
Okay, Brett coming in here with the heat this morning.
Now, to be fair, he's not that far off. I do think, and I said this on previous shows, I thought the Niners would struggle this season. I don't know if we win the division, but we're going to make the playoffs. So that I guess there's a bottom line to it. The Niners will make the playoffs.
All right, Mo. Who should have returned DeAndre Hopkins' phone call? Like, who looks
your
bad in
Giants.
this
It's
situation?
not even close. Your Giants should have returned it. You got to give Danny Dimes as many playmakers as you can get. You added Waller, but if you had added Waller and D Hop, talk about opening up the field and opening up the opportunities. Those two combined, they draw coverages. Waller with his speed for a tight end, he didn't have tight end speed. He's got wide receiver speed, and then you've got D Hop with his size, his hands, his ability to attack the football. That's what Danny Dimes need. Another guy like that can take some heat off of him and Saquon. So the Giants have a solid offense, but D Hop would have made them dynamic. The Niners, the way that they play and the way that their offense is built around multiple people, not any one guy, I'm not sure they need that type of receiver in that system. I don't think they wouldn't have got the best out of D Hop in that system. They're more of a spread the ball out to a bunch of people by committee as opposed to having one dominant receiver. And I know people will say we've got Debo. Debo's a great playmaker and he's very productive, but I don't think he's a number one receiver when you look at somebody like D Hop, or when you look at somebody that can really dominate the game the way other number one receivers can. Debo is one of those guys. He'll get you production out the backfield. He'll get you production in the backfield. He's just one of those kind of guys that can do a little bit of everything. He's a great football player. Put him up against most football players in the NFL, and to me, as a football player, he's one of the top 5 football players. But as a wide receiver, I'm not sure he's a dominant wide receiver. That system doesn't require a dominant wide receiver. Kyle Shanahan play calls that system and sets everybody up for success. I don't think D Hop would have fit well in that system, as gifted as he is. But with the Giants, he could have shined.
Okay. I'm going to argue with you, Mo. I'm going to come back at you. The Giants didn't need him. The Giants didn't need him. The Giants would love him, but we seen him go to the playoffs last year without a star-studded receiver. I'm just saying. The team that really needed him the most was the Dallas Cowboys. And the reason why I'm saying this is because for the last 28 years, this team has tried to be relevant. They keep trying to say they want to win a Super Bowl, but we've yet to see them make Super Bowl moves. And when you have a guy like DeAndre Hopkins knocking on your door, and when you have had a quarterback struggle like the way that they've had last year on throwing interceptions, we've seen Dak Prescott when he had little to no receivers on the field, how he looks. And I know they got CeeDee Lamb. I know they have Brandon Cooks. I know they have Michael Gallup. But you bring in a receiver that is respectful, that is respected like DeAndre Hopkins, changes things. And for you not to return his brother's phone call shows me that they're not willing to do whatever it takes to win the Super Bowl. But rather than you go make a move like that that will impact you now, you trade for a backup quarterback. You trade for a backup quarterback to add more pressure to your quarterback in Dak Prescott once you already know he's under the gun this year. So that tells me, Jerry Jones, you still not willing to do whatever it takes to win. Because we know he's making all the decisions. He's the coach. He's the general manager. He's the owner. He's the players, equipment man. He's everything.
He's the PR guy. He's a little bit of everything. No doubt.
Everything. So that's my problem. Yes, I understand the Giants would need to create separation. But I don't think nobody in their right mind expects the Giants to make a deep playoff run. I don't think nobody expects them to go compete for a championship. Joe McDonald said Hopkins' issue weren't talent, they were money and culture. You're absolutely right. That's it. Hey, but the problem that I have is that the Cowboys, I hear Cowboy fans, I hear Jerry Jones talking about they need to win now. If you need to win now, sometimes you got to deal with certain things. Sometimes you have to deal with a headache. Sometimes you have to deal with things to win. And too many times, these marquee players come available, and the Cowboys just they turn the other cheek, act like they don't have a problem. Y'all been struggling for 28 years. Just saying. Did any gentlemen want to? Y'all disagree with anything I said, or want to add anything to this
I think
debate?
D Hop would have been an asset to the Cowboys, but if you look at Dallas on both sides of the football, they're loaded. Like, I guess the only question mark is what they get from QB1, but they have all the talent right now to be playing in the NFC Championship game. It's just a matter of if that comes to fruition on the football field. I think D Hop would have been a cherry on top for them. I'm not sure that they out and out needed him. Like I said, your Giants made the playoffs last year. I get that, but like I've said before, for them to get back to the playoffs this year, Danny Dimes has to be better than he was last year. And I think You would like to get him as many weapons as possible. It's not just a separation factor, it's the fact that D Hop also draws double coverages, which means the other guys get singled and there's more opportunities for them. There's more opportunities for Waller to down if you've got a
I think Mo's dealing with some technical difficulties. All right, Brett.
I was going to say, when it comes to Dallas, I think D Hop would be nice, but he wouldn't be a necessity. I think their bigger issue is a safety blanket at tight end. I think you're looking at Jake Ferguson, you're looking at Peyton Hendershot. So I think that, yes, D Hop would have been nice for Dallas, but I don't think he really was a necessity, and I think a bigger need for them definitely would have been maybe calls the Cardinals about Zach Ertz.
Mo is
like
back
I
in the
was
building.
saying, if you have a guy like D Hop, he's a legit number one receiver. So you're talking about somebody who's going to get 150, 160 targets. That's what you do when you've got a dominant wide receiver. You try to get that man the football. I don't know if the Niners offense is predicated on throwing the ball to a person that many times. It's just not. It really isn't. Not the way they play football and not the way they run the ball.
Nah, definitely with the Niners, they like to spread the ball out more, so I'm not sure if Nuke would be happy with the lack of touches he would get compared to what he's used to getting, so
Yes, sir. But I understand and I see Joe's comment. I know Dallas is loaded, you guys. I do. I know it. I know
Joe's
it. I
right.
promise you I do. But what I'm talking about is a team for the last couple of years saying that they will do whatever it takes to win. And I just know a guy like D Hop and his talent, you can't just pick that up off the street, y'all. I know that. Like, he's different. Like, can I ask y'all a question? Has Michael Gallup really been the same Michael Gallup before that injury?
No,
I
he
mean, I'm just
hasn't. He hasn't.
he
I mean, that's why
hasn't.
that's why they went out and got Cooks.
Exactly. So if you mean to tell me you bring in a true number two, because I mean DeAndre would be a number two on this team because they really want CeeDee Lamb to be the number one guy. But really it'd be CeeDee Lamb 1A, DeAndre Hopkins 1B, and then Brandon Cook, and then whatever Michael Gallup gets you is a plus. I'm just saying you would have an elite defense, and you'd have an elite offense. I don't think nobody calls the Cowboys offense elite right now. I mean, it's going to be good, but I don't think nobody calls it elite. But adding the D Hop would make it take it to that next level. And I'm gonna piggyback off something about Mo said. I'm gonna tell you about the Cowboys this year. This is the year that if they don't make it this year, they're done. They are done. The reason why I say this is because you don't have to worry about Tom Brady in Tampa. You don't have to worry about Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. You don't have to worry about Russell Wilson in Seattle. You don't have to worry about the Rams being relevant because they've been slipping off. The NFC is wide open. To me, it should be out of Dallas. No, let me rephrase. It should be out of Philadelphia,
Yep.
San Francisco, and Dallas. Those are and then you have the wild card in New Orleans. You have wild
Oakland,
cards in
Seattle.
Seattle. But your top three teams is Philadelphia, San Francisco, and the Cowboys. If the Cowboys don't make it to the third round this year, they're done. That's just facts. It can't be no more, oh, we lose in the wild card game. It can't be no more one and done. It can't be no more of that. Dak Prescott is done. A lot of guys are going to get moved. Mike McCarthy will be done. And we all know Jerry Jones should have been done long time ago. But let's transition to the next topic. We're talking about quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen. We just seen a quarterback get a record-breaking deal in the city of Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. And we all know how special Joe Burrow is. We all know the type of quarterback that he is. We've seen him, he had the that horrible injury the first year, but after that, took him to the Super Bowl, and then they probably would have went back last year if they didn't face who my homie. Um, so Joe Burrow got paid yesterday, but the question that the producer put in here: will this hurt Cincinnati long term? And by the way, the contract is a record deal. It's a 5 year, $275 million extension that includes $219.1 million guaranteed to make him the highest paid, not quarterback, highest paid player in NFL history. Brett, will they regret this?
I don't think they'll regret it. I think he'll be worth every penny of it at the end of the day. Will it hurt the Bengals? I think just any big quarterback contract like that will eventually hamstring your team and you're going to lose some key players down the road. So, to an extent, yeah, it'll hurt the Bengals because of how much they're paying Burrow. It's going to be tough to make moves around him. But I definitely don't think they'll regret it. Joe Burrow's the second best quarterback in the league behind Mahomes. So, if there's somebody who deserves that massive of a contract, it's going to be Burrow. And with all these new QB contracts, Mahomes is looking like a steal each passing contract.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, Mo.
He's worth it. I actually think that Joe Burrow is a lot closer to Mahomes than most people would think. Um, Joe Burrow's a bad man, and if you've got a legit franchise quarterback, you enjoy that time that he's on that rookie deal. But when it's time to pay the piper, you got to pay the piper. So will it affect them? Of course, it'll affect them. It affects all teams once that quarterback gets that deal. But we're going to find out more about Joe Burrow down the road. Is Joe Burrow going to be the kind of guy after the deal is signed, after he's played a season? Will he restructure? Will he stretch that out more to give the team more leeway so they can bring in more players or retain playmakers? What makes Cincinnati one of the most explosive offense is that trio that they have at wide receiver. At some point, they'll all want to be paid. So the question is, are they going to be able to keep those weapons that help Joe Burrow, that make Joe Burrow who he is to a degree. And they also have some playmakers on defense. So every team faces this. How do we sustain this? How do we keep our key core guys together? It usually is with guys stretching out their contracts and extending them and giving the team a little bit more money back so they could retain people. So right now, biggest contract in NFL history. It's Joe Burrow, no problem with it. I think Cincinnati will find a way to make it work.
I'm gonna be honest with you. They should have paid him the year they took him to the Super Bowl. Because he made Cincinnati relevant. They've been just like the Detroit Lions, if not worse. He made them relevant. I love Joe Burrow, man. The swagger, the style of play. I agree with you, Mo. He is close to Patrick Mahomes. But you're talking about a guy that, talk about toughness. If there was anybody that had what they said the Mamba mentality, it's Joe Burrow. Like he doesn't quit. I remember the year when that offensive line was in shambles. I'm talking about after he came back from the injury, and he still came out there and performed. There would have been guys that would have ran from that. We've seen it before that had a one big injury and the line was horrible, and they ran from it. Joe Burrow is one of those star-studded quarterbacks, and he deserved to be the highest paid. But my next question is there anybody else on the come up that you can see to get this next record deal? And if so, who would it be, Brett? Like, what quarterback do you see is on the horizon that's going to get that next big contract?
Let's see. If I had to take a guess, probably Trevor Lawrence. I'd imagine he's due soon. And I think you put a lot of nice weapons around him. I think he's going to look really good in these next couple of years. Does he get that Joe Burrow money? Not necessarily, but I do think he's going to be next in line to get a massive deal in the coming years here.
I'd agree. I'd agree.
You
I
agree?
I agree. It's going to be Trevor Lawrence. Look, if Sunshine can pick up where he left off last year, um, with the way the team won down the stretch and what he was able to do in a god awful game. to bounce back from 4 picks to play the way he did, although you could argue he should have had 5 picks. Trevor Lawrence is a special talent. So I think for sure Sunshine is the next guy up to get a big deal. But I do also think that when you're that young and you're that talented, and you have that much pressure on you, and a team like the Jaguars, like you said, Burrow made the Bengals relevant again. Cincinnati hadn't been relevant in forever. I think the same could be said of Trevor Lawrence with the Jaguars. We wouldn't even the day had been an afterthought for a long time until Trevor Lawrence came on board.
Yep. Anthony Price, my guy. He said Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett do have the
That's a good one
potential as
too.
well,
We'll see.
because that's another team, Pittsburgh, that's been searching ever since Big Ben's been. Even when he was a decline, they were still looking for a quarterback to be his replacement, and they've been struggling. But I think Kenny Pickett is going to have a good year this year. Him with Mike Tomlin, so that's definitely a good name. We're about to go into our pick'em section. We about to pick week 1. You're gonna have some upsets. You're gonna have some surprises. You're gonna have some blasphemy. You're gonna have a lot of things in this next
Blasphemy.
this next yeah, it's gonna be a lot of it, Mo. Because I can already feel it. First game we're gonna go over Texans, and we'll go over the Ravens. Texans, Ravens. Mo, who do you have?
I think the Ravens are the better team. This is nothing against the Texans. They're kind of in a rebuilding process. Their defense is stout, though. I'm going to be interested to see what that Ravens offense can do versus that Texans defense. But I think the Ravens will find a way to win the game.
All
Yeah,
right, Mo. I mean, Brett.
yeah. No, I agree. I think that I'm not very high on the Ravens this year, but I still think they have enough to beat the Texans. And I think it'll be closer than people think. I think it'll only be like a touchdown game, but I think the Ravens pull this one out.
I disagree with you, just for the reason why Mo said what he said. Let's not act like Lamar. He has a new wideout support. You guys, Odell Beckham Jr. He has Flowers. This is his new weapons. He gonna have to build some type of chemistry. He played no preseason, not one down in preseason. So are we sure we know what level of play that Lamar Jackson is going to give us? I mean, we even mentioned that Patrick Mahomes struggled a little bit last night.
He did.
So with Lamar not getting no chemistry with these new weapons, with him not playing no preseason, with as good as this defense that we believe the Texans are going to have, I'm going with the Houston Texans for
I
the
mean,
upset in
it's a
week
fair
one.
pick. It's interesting. And look, you make a great point. He hadn't played in the preseason. It's not just that he hasn't played and hasn't really developed chemistry with this core. They also have a new system in place. They've got a new a whole completely new offense. So now we're going to look to see what Lamar Jackson looks like in the new offense. But you're asking him to step right into it in game one, in week one. So to me, I think there will be some struggles. I'm just saying overall, I still think the Ravens are the better football team.
No, I agree that they are the better football team, but chemistry matters.
Sure.
So preseason, hey, I would have been okay. He played a half of a game in the preseason or something. He didn't do it. I'm going with the Houston Texans. And Gene, I don't think it's about the quarterback position for Houston. I believe it's about their defense, the defense and a running game. I believe they can beat the Baltimore Ravens. Next game on the slate, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, ladies and gentlemen, not Tom Brady, taking on the Minnesota Vikings. Brett, who you taking?
I think the Vikings should take this one fairly easily. Like the Vikings' defense is pretty inept, but I think they can find a way to stop Baker Mayfield led offense. So I got the Vikings, and I think they'll win pretty convincingly too by at least 17.
All right, Mo.
I don't know if they're going to win by 17, but I think the Vikings will win. I think that they have a better offense. I think that I'll take Kirk Cousins, who's much maligned all the time, over Baker any day of the week. Uh, I think Tampa Bay's defense will be better than people think, but I just don't think they're going to be able to put up enough points. So I'm going with the Vikings.
I kind of want to do it, but I'm not going to do it. I don't trust Baker. I'm going Minnesota as well. I think Kirk
Oh,
Cousins
you
is the
should have
more
did it.
seasoned quarterback. I think Minnesota have a lot to prove this year. Lots to prove this year, especially how last year went. So I'm going Minnesota as well. You have the Carolina Panthers against the Atlanta Falcons. Mo, who you going with?
Whew. So earlier when we started talking about the NFL, before we even got into the preseason, really high on Bryce Young. That hasn't changed. That offensive line is horrible. It on paper, to me, this is a pick 'em. I really believe that. Even though I think he'll struggle early, I think Bryce Young will get it. He will find his way, and this will be a very competitive team. But man, it's a tough game. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do a Freddie. I'm going to take the Falcons with the upset. I think the Falcons win. Although in this division, is there really that many upsets? Because other than the Saints, who should win this running away, are they going to? If the Falcons win, or if the Panthers win, or if I mean, are those upsets? Because it's a really bad division. So I'm going to take the Falcons.
I want to correct something. David, Tom Brady has retired. I know you don't want to believe it, but he's gone. He's finished. He's done. No more Tom Brady. You'll see
Dave
him on
must be
Fox
talking
next
about
year.
Tom Brady. He's still playing Madden from last year or something.
Oh, I guess. I guess. Um, I guess. All right, Brett. Falcons or Panthers?
I'll take the Panthers. I think even a rookie version in his first game of Bryce Young is going to do much better than Desmond Ritter. And I think overall the Panthers just have a better team. So I'm not going to overthink this one. I think the Panthers win. I think it's going to be about a 10-point game.
No, I agree with you. I'm not going to say a 10-point game. I have it by a field goal. Have the Panthers winning. I think Bryce Young, first year coming out party, he's going to want to put on a good performance. And so I'm going to the Panthers as well. David, I don't know if you're joking. I didn't see a LOL behind it. I'm just saying, sir. Some people still wish Tom Brady was still playing, aka Lennon. But let's move it on to the next one. We have the no Kyler Murray, Arizona Cardinals going against the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, I'm taking the
I'm
Commanders. I'm not going to even waste time on this. Look, matter of fact, for let's just go ahead and get this out the way. Whoever the Cardinals play for the rest of the season, I'm taking them.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
taking the
I'm
other
taking the
team.
Cardinals as
I'm
well.
taking the other team.
I mean the Commanders as well.
The Cardinals are on a mission to get that number one pick, so I'm not worried about it.
Mo, what you call Trevor Lawrence? Sunshine,
Sunshine, yeah,
Sunshine
yeah.
versus the
What's the guy from
Indianapolis
Remember
Colts.
the Titans? That was Sunshine, right?
Yeah. So, we Sunshine versus the Colts. Brett.
Uh, yeah, I'm taking Sunshine, and I don't think it's going to be that close either. I think Anthony Richardson's going to have a rough first game. No run game. Michael Pittman's regressed hard as a number one last year. I just don't think they really have anything going for him. So I'll take the Jaguars, and they win this convincingly.
Man, hey, shout out to Gene. Y'all see what he said? He's eating breakfast in Universal Studios, listening to us. So shout out to you, Gene.
What's
Shout
good,
out to
Gene?
shout out to everybody that's tuning in. Thank you for taking your time out your busy morning. We definitely appreciate it. We do not take it for granted. I promise you. Make sure you follow us on the Sports Empire Network. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube for more content, quality content. I promise you, we're grinding, we're putting in the work, and we just want to thank you guys. Let's move it to Mo. Did you ever get a chance to pick on this game as well?
Oh, I'm definitely picking the Jags. Look, I think Anthony Richardson, he might have the highest peak for some of these young quarterbacks, but he's also the rawest talent, and he doesn't have a run game right now. Not to mention Michael Pittman. I think Michael Pittman's a very good football player, but he's not a number one receiver. He's just their number one receiver. That's the problem. He's not a number one receiver. So I don't think this will be a close game. I think the Jags will win this pretty fairly easy.
I agree, but Mo, we're gonna stay with you, sir, because we're talking about your team. I've heard. I'm gonna put you on the big screen, Mo. I've heard some people say they're gonna have an upset alert that Pittsburgh is gonna beat your San Francisco 49ers. And to them, what do you say?
I expect the Steelers to be very competitive. They're going to be much improved offensively. We already know what they can do defensively. But I think in the end, we're the better football team. Even with the question marks at quarterback, the Niners find a way to win. They don't always win pretty, but they will win. So I think the Niners win this football game. It'll be a tough football game, but I got the Niners winning.
Gotcha. I just had to put you on the big screen
No
to
worries.
show you could let the people know out there in the world. Because you the San Francisco 49er analyst on the screen right now.
No doubt.
But I'm gonna tell you this. Mo, I'm one of those people that think Pittsburgh's gonna win. The reason why I say that is because they have a defense. They have a defense. Najee Harris is going to be legit this year. I think we're going to have a coming out party of Najee Harris this year. I really do believe that. I don't know if Purdy is ready for the big stage. We seen what Purdy did last year, but I'm gonna tell you, I'm not too much hyped on the hype train of him just yet. I think they might have made a mistake in trading for the wrong quarterback. I thought they should have went after the Aaron Rodgers. I felt like if your team went after Aaron Rodgers, I felt that he would have a better chance to win the Super Bowl this year than he do with the Jets, actually. Because I believe that the 49ers are loaded on the defensive side. They have weapons on the offensive side. You have a good offensive line, but y'all stuck with Purdy. And I'm not too sure Purdy is the answer. And I'm not sure if he's ready to go against a defense like Pittsburgh's defense with the Mike Tomlin on the other side as well.
No doubt.
Um,
I'm not sure he's the answer either, and I'm a Niners fan. But the way their offense is run, the way Shanahan schemes, I don't need him to throw for 4,500 yards. That's not what that offense is built off of. I just need him to take care of the football and make timely throws, and we're good.
Brett, are you picking San Francisco? Or are you going with me?
I said it yesterday on Sideline to Sideline, said it again here. I got the Steelers. I think it's going to be. I just don't. I agree with what Mo said. The 49ers offense is going to be predicated on Brock Purdy just making timely throws. And I just don't think he'll be able to do that against the steel curtain. Or no, they're not the steel curtain from the 70s, but I just don't think against that defense he'll be able to do it. I think TJ Watt's going to be all up in his grill. I think you got Minka roaming around in that secondary. I just think it's going to be too tough for him, so I think they fall short.
All right. We have DeAndre Hopkins making his debut in the big New Orleans. Wish JG was on here this morning. He's not feeling good. Rest up, heal up, get better, JG.
Get better, JG.
Um, I got the Tennessee Titans. I do. The Saints have no Kamara. Titans have Derrick Henry. They have D Hop. I'm going with the Tennessee Titans. We going in New Orleans, taking care of business. I have it by 8. I mean 7. And Brett, you say what to that?
I say that I got the Titans as well. I think they'll control the clock with Derrick Henry all game. Some timely play actions of DeAndre Hopkins. And I just think overall they have more weapons on the offensive end than the Saints do right now. So I think the Titans got this.
I'm picking the Titans, but not because I think Derrick Henry's going to have a big day. I think they're going to slow him down. That Saints defense is no joke. It's one of the better defenses in football. So if Henry's going to be productive, we're talking about him getting with maybe 80 something yards, maybe controlling the clock, an ugly 80 something yards with 20 plus carries. But my biggest reason is I've never been a believer in Derek Carr. Never. I just haven't. I don't see it. Whatever everybody else sees in him, I don't see it. So I think the defense will play well, But what's going to hurt the Saints will be their offense.
What's up, Melvin? Gene said, I'm going with another channel. This game is going to be boring. Gene, you're probably right about that, sir.
No doubt.
The Vegas Raiders, Jimmy Garoppolo, Devontae Adams versus maybe a new and improved Russell Wilson. Maybe the same version of Russell Wilson last year. Mo, who you going with?
So I think Russell Wilson, I think Sean Payton, this is a big marker game for them. Like, if you can't beat the Raiders, and I know Devontae Adams is one of those dudes, and Josh Jacobs had a big season last year, and Jimmy Garoppolo, for all his flaws, he's actually a solid quarterback. But to me, if they can't beat the Raiders, and I know if you look at their receiving core right now, the Denver receiving core is all beat up. But overall, the Raiders aren't stout defensively. Their offensive line is not great in pass protection. They're solid in run, but they're not good in pass protection. I think Denver has to find a way to win this game. I don't care if it's ugly. I don't care if they win by 28. They just have to get off to a good start. And the games you're supposed to win, you win. If they can't win this game, this is not a good sign for the future of Russell Wilson or Sean Payton, at least this season.
I'm going to tell you, I'm going with the Raiders. I believe that they're more balanced than the Broncos are. I think they have a run game. They have weapons on the outside for Jimmy G, and they're gonna depend on their run game. I'm not a believer, and I don't believe the Broncos have done enough for Russell Wilson to be successful. I know last year he did have a bad season, but a lot of people can say, well, who is he throwing the football to outside of Judy? I mean, a lot of people can say, what about that offensive line? I know they made some improvements this year. We'll try to make some improvements in the offseason about it. But like you said, their weapons is banged up. And I will say this, that the offensive coordinator and Hackett used them differently than Russell Wilson have in his career as well. They try to make him a pocket passer, pocket quarterback. That's not Russell Wilson. He has to depend on his legs. And so I'm not too sure that Denver is ready to take that next level this year, because I don't believe they did enough to make him ready. Because I believe when Gene, I absolutely agree. I did not think Hackett put him in the best position. And yes, Russell Wilson had a bad year, and he got to take some blame. When you come in there and demand a farm, you want this, you want this, you want that, you had to take the blame. And I agree, Russell Wilson was bad last year, and he was a problem. But I just believe this Raiders team is more balanced with the running game, with the passing game. I think they're gonna have a pretty good defense. So I'm going with the Raiders in this Sunday's game. Brett, do you disagree with me?
Part of me did want to pick the Raiders, but they're just so dysfunctional right now. They won't even let their second best defensive player in the gym right now. So I think this is a big test for Denver. As much as I think that the Raiders do have a really good chance to win this game, I don't trust them enough right now. So just because of all the dysfunction and uncertainty going on with the organization and how unsure I am how Jimmy G is going to click with Devontae Adams, who's, he's just coming off an injury. He got hurt in preseason, so we'll see how he's moving around. I'm going to go with Denver on this one.
So let me ask y'all a question. If you had to choose a quarterback to lose you a game, would you choose Jimmy G or Russell Wilson?
To lose me a game?
To lose you a game, yeah.
That's an interesting question. Because Jimmy doesn't really lose games, but he don't win them either.
Exactly.
He's a really good game manager. Now Russell can possibly lose a game, but he's also won games. So if you're asking me which one would lose a game, I guess if I get the question right, if I had to lose a game, Russell Wilson would probably lose a game
Exactly.
because he's going to take more chances.
Jimmy G's not going to do too much. That's the thing with him. He's going to do just enough to, like you said, game manager. I'm just saying. And Gene brought up a good question. Josh McDaniels, Sean Payton. Yeah, Sean Payton. Jimmy G or Russ. I would take Jimmy G, actually. I really would.
Oh, I'm taking
Um,
Russ. I still believe in Russ. I don't know if he's going to have an MVP caliber season, but I actually expect when it's all said and done, he's actually going to have a solid season.
I, I'm not sure. The jury's still out. Um, Gene, I would love you to come out. Bro, send a video in the group chat. I just want to hear you say Broncos country. Let's ride. I just want to hear. I just want to hear it. I'm sorry. um, um, yeah, Gene, I would love to. Hey, me and you and your quarterback list. We're spot on, brother. We spot on. I think I let that out on the morning show with that day, and they disagree with me, but it's spot on. Next game, Gene's Philadelphia Eagles or the New England or Ezekiel Elliott's New England Patriots. I'm going Philadelphia. There, I would just even if they didn't have a quarterback, I'd probably still go Philadelphia just because of their defense. They have a defense, the running game, their offensive line is probably going to be the best in football, in my opinion. Jalen Hurts, I believe it's going to be the next year. I actually have Jalen Hurts in the MVP race for this year. So I'm going with Philadelphia. Mo, do you disagree? Do you disagree with me?
No, the Eagles are the better team. This is one of those kind of things. The Eagles can play bad and still win this game. Like they can underachieve and still win this game because I just think both sides of the ball, right? We're talking about the line of scrimmage. They're dominant defensively up front. They're dominant offensively up front. So I think New England will be competitive because I think New England's going to have a very good defense this year, but I don't think you can score with the Eagles. I think the Eagles' defense is going to control the run game because that's what the Patriots want to do. They want to run. They want to run the football, and I don't think the Eagles are going to have that. So I expect the Eagles to win this fairly easy.
I think this show, I think we've been kind of controlled for a Freddie moderating host type show. Been kind of controlled, but I'm gonna say something to get it off the Rams a little bit, and I really believe this, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm about to say. I believe Bill Belichick is on the hot seat this year. I've said it before. If any coach that need to be on the hot seat, it's Bill Belichick. Because the question is, I'm gonna ask it again. What has Bill done since Tom Brady has left? We know what he did before he got there. So the question was, when Tom Brady left, was it Bill or was it Tom? Right now, it's looking like it's been more Tom than it was Bill. I'm just saying. And if any coach need to be on the hot seat, that I know this is not the most popular question or most popular opinion, but Bill Belichick should be on the hot seat if we're being honest with ourselves. If
No,
we're being
I
honest
don't.
with ourselves.
I don't have a problem with that. At some point, especially in the NFL, right? It's not about what you did in the past, but what have you done lately? And lately, the Patriots have been average at best, and sometimes and at times subpar since the departure of Tom Brady. So,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that's all on Coach Belichick, right? Because you have to have talent to win football games. That's a part of it. Although, to be fair, he's also part of the drafting process, right? He's kind of involved in every aspect of building that team up, and he's yet to find, at least as of right now, the next guy up to replace Tom Brady. And in a quarterback-driven league, until you have that next guy, your team's gonna have some problems.
Yep. So, yep. I guess that wasn't the hottest take that I thought it was going to be. Last time I said it, I got killed. But this time, hey. All right, Brett, who you going with? Philadelphia or New England, sir?
I got the Eagles. I think it'll be closer than a lot of people think. I think it'll only be like a touchdown game. I think Bill's going to have that team competing. I think it's just going to be a talent issue. Patriots just don't have enough firepower to keep up with the Eagles for the long run. I think they'll keep it close. I think Bill will coach that team. They'll keep it close, but I just don't. I think at the end of the game, it'll come down to can Mac Jones win you the football game, and against that team, absolutely not.
So, question: Ezekiel Elliott signed there a few years ago. We all know a star-studded running back that he's been for Dallas for the last couple of years. Even though last year he had a down year for him. How many yards can you guys see Zeke running with this New England Patriots offense when we know that they want to run the football first? How many yards, Mo, can you see Zeke Elliott running?
Well, you have to first remember he's not the starting running back. He's not, and so I think he's going to be used in a very similar way to what the Cowboys used him with. So his strength will be short yardage, red zone. Not to mention Zeke is stout in pass protection. So if I'm looking at his overall production, I'll say he'll run for about 700 to 800 yards. But what you should focus on is his yards per carry and how many touchdowns he gets. So I think Zeke's still good for 8 to 10 touchdowns if he's going to be a factor in the red zone. So I think his production will be very good for New England, but it won't look like it did Ezekiel Elliott in his prime rushing for 14, 1,500 yards because he's in a different role now.
I agree with that number. I think 650 to 700 is just a good number for Zeke. I think the big thing to pay attention to will be just more so touchdowns. I think Zeke's just not as explosive as he once was, so his yards per carry is probably going to sit between 3 and 4, probably like about 3.5. But at the end of the day, I think he's just more going to be short yards and in the red zone. So, and plus he has shown he can catch the ball. So I think he'll be more so used as blocking, and I think he'll be a big asset in the passing game.
Hey, y'all, I think I have a lot of great analogies. I think I said a lot of crazy things, but I'm going to say this right. I've never thought about saying this before. I love this comment by Key. Said Zeke is the bowling ball with feet for New England. That is funny. I'm not gonna lie. That is pretty funny.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell y'all the game of the week on Sunday at least. I think this is going to be. I think this is going to be one of the most exciting games. We're going to see two young quarterbacks face off. I think we're going to have two explosive offensive going off. I think we're going to see some defense. I think we're going to see it all in this one game. This is a game that I'm going to be watching. The Miami Dolphins will be headed to the Los Angeles Chargers. I think that will be the game on Sunday to watch. I'm talking about the explosive weapons that the Miami Dolphins have in Waddle and Hill with Tua. We're going to see if Tua can go back to the version of last year versus the Chargers and Herbert, Allen, and the crew. Bosa. I'm going with the Chargers. I am. I believe with them picking up the new offensive coordinator that was in Dallas, I believe that he's going to have more opportunity that he did with Dak. I think he's going to be able to unlock his game up even more and Kellen Moore. Because I believe that he believes that he has a quarterback now that can do more than Dak Prescott could. So he's going to unlock that playbook for Herbert and those weapons, and they're going to beat the Miami Dolphins this week. I believe that. Mo, do you disagree with me?
I think you make a great point about what Herbert and his receiving core, not to mention the run game. They've got everything covered offensively in terms of playmakers. That said, I still think the Dolphins, if both quarterbacks are upright, right, at the end of the game, I think the Dolphins' offense is more explosive because of those receivers, because of what they do to you. It's not just that Tyreek Hill opens up the floor and takes the top off the defense. It's what Waddle does underneath. He's catching a 6-yard slant and he's taking it to the house. They stretch your defense out and they separate so easily because they're not just fast, they're both exceptionally quick. So if Tua's upright, I think the Dolphins win. I think it's a great game, but I think the Dolphins win.
All right, Brett.
I got the Dolphins, and I think your X factor will just end up being the Chargers every year. They have a really porous run defense. I think the Dolphins will be able to run the ball enough to keep them off that offense off the field for quite a bit, and that'll end up being the difference. I think when it comes to offenses, I also just think the Dolphins in general are more explosive. Granted, when you have Hill and Waddle, it's just tough to match that explosiveness. I think the Chargers and Kellen Moore, I think they keep it close. But I think that the Dolphins, the X factor, I think they'll run the ball well enough to keep them off the field, and they'll just end up winning the game. I think it'll only be a touchdown, though. I think it'll be a close one.
All righty. All righty. Ladies and gentlemen, this game used to be the best rivalry in football. Used to be I see that smile, Brett. It used to be a game that people get up to see. We've heard Aaron Rodgers say that he owns this franchise. Well, Aaron Rodgers not there anymore. It's the Jordan Love era. Green Bay Packers versus Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. Brett, is it a new era?
It's definitely a new era. In this game, as much as I hate to say it, I'm going to have to take the Chicago Bears. I got Christian Watson's already dealing with hamstring issues. The depth behind in the Packers receiving room is just atrocious. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think it's going to be a really close game. But at the end of the day, I just don't think the Packers will have enough to match up with the Bears. Justin Fields, DJ Moore, I think that's going to be a deadly duo.
I absolutely agree with you. This game is going to be competitive. They always are. In division games are always competitive. No matter lopsided talent or not, they always tend to battle. Even they always rises up to the occasion. But I have the Chicago Bears because I believe this year will be Justin Fields' welcome to the party moment. I think this year will be his say, hey, I'm here, that I'm this next quarterback taking this next level type season. We've seen the additions that they made on that offensive side, the Moore, the Claypools, and all that within this offseason. So I'm going with the Chicago Bears as well. Mo, do you disagree? Do you see anything else?
I think let's start off with I think Justin Fields is going to have a big season this year. Just overall, I think he's going to have a big season. I'm thinking 3,800 yards passing. He's probably going to rush for close to 1,000 yards. Combined, he's probably going to have over 30 touchdowns. I think this kid's electric, and I think as he continues to develop, he's going to become one of the more dominant players in the league. That said, division game, I think is low scoring, like you both agreed. I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to take the Packers in an upset, 17-10.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna put myself on the big screen. We're talking about my team now.
Cowboys. No, I'm just
No. We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys coming into MetLife Stadium to face my New York Giants. I'm gonna tell all you Cowboy fans, y'all in trouble. Y'all in trouble. Dak Prescott's under a lot of pressure right now. Got a loose arm. Can't stop throwing interceptions. Got somebody named Trey Lance breathing down his neck saying, I want your job. You have a lot of issues in Dallas. Y'all not beating this week. Y'all not beating this in New York. Saquon Barkley is going to have a good game. I can see Saquon Barkley rushing for about 120 yards, giving 100 receiving yards, 2 TDs. Darren Waller showing why the Raiders is a joke. Daniel Jones, I can see Daniel Jones running out the pocket with a bootleg touchdown to Darren Waller. Our defense is going to get better. Brian Dable's going to have these guys ready for week 1. I just don't believe Mike McCarthy's going to have his guys ready for week 1. If I know Brian Dable, we seen it last year. No matter who we went against, we was always competitive. We was always competitive. Even if we didn't win the game, we was competitive. And I believe that this year we're going to take the next step, and we're going to show the world, we're going to show the haters, we're going to show the people in this chat who we are. Big Blue, stand up. Y'all know who we are. We winning week 1 against the Cowboys. And I don't care who go for next. Well, do any of you gentlemen disagree with me?
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to win. I mean, I just want to bring you back to reality. I think they're just better. This is a better team. Look,
How?
I
How?
actually, I
Where?
actually hope that Danny Dimes plays well. I need him to play great because he's actually on my fantasy team. So I need him to everything you said about him. He needs to do for my benefit, and he might still do, but you guys are probably still going to lose. Um, Dallas is probably more explosive offensively than you guys. I mean, you're not going to. You can obviously concede your receiving core is nowhere near as good as their receiving core. Saquon's the best back on the field, but I don't know if he's going to be the most productive back on the field because Dallas has a better offensive line than you guys have. So then you're pitting Prescott up against Danny Dimes. Danny Dimes, better athlete.
No, he's
Prescott,
not.
but
No, he's
Prescott's a
not.
better quarterback.
No, he's not.
Danny Dimes is absolutely a better athlete. Not even close.
No, he's not. Mo, I agree with you a lot of things that you said, but Daniel
Danny
Jones is
Dimes is
better.
not a better athlete than Dak Prescott. In what way? In what way?
Daniel
Dak
Jones is a better
could never run like Danny Dimes.
Daniel Jones is a better athlete than Dak Prescott.
That's
He's a
right,
better quarterback.
100%.
Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than Dak
No, that's
Prescott.
where you got wrong. You're wrong. He's not a better quarterback.
Daniel Jones is a better. Dak can't
If
run the ball like
Fred,
Daniel Jones.
right, because he's a better athlete. Freddie, take away his athleticism and just make him a quarterback, and Daniel Jones will be unemployed. His
So
athleticism is what makes him valuable.
so you agree with me? Daniel Jones is a better athlete than Dak.
He's absolutely a better athlete, but he's not
Okay,
a better quarterback.
that's one. Number two, if we're talking about just passing the football, Daniel Jones have a stronger arm than Dak Prescott.
Well,
You do
we'll
know that,
never
right?
know if you only throw 15 touchdowns in a 17-game season. You ain't throwing the ball that much, bro. Let's be honest. I
He's
saw the
thrown it
Giants
20 years.
offense. All they do is dink and dunk the ball down the field. Like there's a reason Saquon has so many catches. He's not trying to push the ball down the field. Your quarterback, at least the way Dayball coaches him, they coach him not to lose games. They don't trust him to win games.
What
I'm
I
just
think,
being real.
I don't think it's on him. I think it's more of the front office have been not able to be able to get a star receiver on beside of Daniel Jones. Let's look at this.
Freddie, we just had the conversation. Right. Your team needed D Hop.
I agree, but what I'm saying is, Mo, like this is the first time like he's never had a Darren Waller since he's been in Dallas. Let's be honest.
The
And
Raiders don't
then,
get to have Darren Waller. That guy stays hurt all the time. He's
but
talented as hell,
but
Freddie,
what I,
but the man can't stay on the field.
but what I'm saying, Mo, this is the first time. Like when we got Darren Waller, that was a big news to New York because we know that on somebody on the outside, we've not had anybody that can make plays, that can create separation. But now they have Darren Waller. Not saying that he is the only that they need more. I agree. And Joe McDaniel, I actually think Daniel Jones have potential to be better than Josh Allen. That's a hot take, but we'll see. They put weapons on him. I'm just saying. Um,
So,
but
if projecting his season, what kind of season do you think Daniel Jones will have in comparison to last season overall?
I think he will improve. I think he'll have a better season. I actually have the Giants making an in-season trade to get Mike Evans because if they wait to a certain timeline, because he's been in the league 10 years, all they have to do is give up a fifth-round pick for him. And I believe the Giants will be willing to give up a fifth-round pick for Mike Evans.
If that's all you have to get for Mike Evans, they should make that phone call like this day.
Well, they can't do it right now. This is a certain time period that they
Oh
can
well,
do it.
if it if
I
it,
was
if
reading.
it
I
comes down
forgot
to
when the
that,
time
though, it's
period
going
is.
to take more than a fifth-round pick, Freddie. You know that, right?
Hey, whatever it takes, if Mike Evans come available, do it. Get him. Because could you imagine the offense with Daniel Jones, Mike Evans, Darren Waller, and Saquon Barkley? Then that's when you talking about okay, let's make a run for it. And we already know this Giants defense is a credible defense. It's a respectful defense. But all I'm saying is, don't let's not sit up and say that Dak Prescott's a better quarterback because that's far from the truth, Mo. That's far from the truth.
He
The
is a better
truth will set
quarterback.
you free.
He is
No,
a
he's
better
not.
quarterback. He's a
No,
better
I
quarterback.
disagree.
Hey, Freddie, you can tell the truth to set me free. I got sunshine trying to come in on me. I'm free as you can get. I'm telling
And
you
look
right
at the
now.
sunshine trying to come on
I'm
me.
just,
Look at me.
that's just my glare coming off the screen, man. That's me.
Oh, okay.
Look,
Oh, okay.
all I'm saying is, as good as you guys were last year, a lot of it was cardiac kid stuff. You guys won a lot of close games. All I'm saying is he can't do 15-5 and you have the same season. You won't have the same season. He's got to
Okay,
be a better.
do you want me to predict what he's going to do this
Got to
year?
be
Do you want
better.
me to
He's got to
predict?
be better.
Do
Yeah,
you want me to
predict.
predict? Okay,
What are his numbers going to be? Give
he's
me
going
the
to
numbers.
rush for 1,000 yards.
That wouldn't surprise me.
He's going to have about 10 or 15 rushing TDs.
I don't know about that.
I say 10 rushing TDs. Okay,
Okay.
and he's going to have 25 touchdowns.
If he rushes for 10 touchdowns and has 25 throwing touchdowns and over 1,000 yards, that guy's going to be an MVP candidate. He might be the MVP.
And then he's only going to have about 10 interceptions. 10 to 10, 12, we'll say 12 interceptions.
That's a lofty goal. I'm going to hold you to that. Freddie, I'm going to remember those numbers. I'm going to hold you to that.
You want to get a pen and paper right now? Get a pen and paper right now so you can write this down.
Well, you just told me. You said 25 touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns. So you're telling me Daniel Jones is going to have 35 touchdowns this season combined. I won't forget that. And 1,000 rushing yards.
Mo, your fantasy team's looking better and better each second now.
Freddie, if you're Nostradamus, I am set in fantasy football.
Hey, I'm not reaching, Gio. I'm just being honest. This is what I believe. And then, Brett, did you get a chance to talk about this?
No, when it comes to the game, I think Dallas is just the better team. I think it'll be a dogfight, and I do think the Giants have a chance. Week 1 in division games are just weird. They could go either way. I think Dallas pulls it out, and I think it'll be a field goal. I think this will be arguably the best game of the week when it comes to score and just competitive nature.
Right.
When it comes to quarterbacks, I got to agree with Mo on this one. Daniel Jones is the better athlete, but Dak Prescott's just the better quarterback.
See, Brett gets
All right.
it. He gets it.
Monday night, that bad man. Woo, he's a bad man, y'all. Make his debut in the Big Apple at MetLife Stadium, going against the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. I'm gonna say this for the people in the back. I have the Jets winning Week 1, making a statement, letting people know we here, we coming. There's a new sheriff in town, Mr. Rogers, and his MetLife is his neighborhood. Sorry, Daniel Jones, but it's levels to this, and you're not on Rogers' level. Him and the relationship that he's gonna have with Garrett Wilson. He's about to be the new Devontae Adams. You're gonna have a run game. You have the weapons, have the defense. I believe with the disgruntled Buffalo Bills team, hey, Diggs is disgruntled. He don't really want to be there. I have the Jets winning by 6. Brett, do you disagree?
No, I have the same prediction. I think the Jets win this game, and I think they win this game by 10. I think it's going to be a touchdown game for most of the game, and the Jets pull away with a late field goal. I think Sauce will frustrate Stephon Diggs, forcing Allen to go a different direction, and I just don't think it ends up being enough. And the Bills could counteract this if they had a run game, but they just don't.
I'm going to go Jets as well, but I think it's going to be a close game. And I think first game of the season, right out the box, it's going to be exciting. There's going to be all kind of emotions. Both teams will be fired up. This is really big for the Jets to get off to a great start. So I expect them to win. That doesn't mean that I think the Jets are going to win the division, because I don't think they're going to win the division, but I think they win that game.
No, I agree. I agree 100%.
So you agree with me, Mo?
That the Jets win? Yeah.
Yes. No. Yeah, the Jets win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think we're all in agreement that the Jets win Monday night.
I thought I was going to have to argue. It's a good thing when you don't have to argue when you disagree with me. Man,
Well, the bigger picture is they win Monday night. I don't think they win the division.
Well, we'll talk about that at another time. I'll make another appearance. Like I'm gonna be. I already told y'all that I'm gonna be the Shannon Sharp to this show. I'm gonna come on maybe once or twice a week now. Be the Shannon Sharp to come in and give you guys what y'all need. But hey, Man, this was a fun episode of Coffee Sports Morning Show. Sorry for the technical difficulties, you guys. Trying a new platform, we got to figure it out. I think it looked good. I think it looked good for a first time. We're going to work on it, upgrade some things, and we'll get better. I promise you. As the football season go, we're just in preseason mode right now, ladies and gentlemen. But
No
once we
doubt.
get into that regular season, we're gonna get into that Super Bowl level. I promise you, because we got the best lineup here. It's normally Chris, Mo, Brett, JG, Will. A lot of great people throughout the morning show. Jory,
Jory,
Gene. Yeah, we have a lot of great talent to come up throughout the Sports Empire Network. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for taking out your time for this morning. Mo, Guardy, 3. I want to thank you guys for coming on this morning. It's been a
appreciate you,
pleasure.
Freddie.
No problem. Did you guys have anything else y'all want to add?
No, just check out all the great content we got on Sports Empire Network.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm just going to end the show off with this fire intro again. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
What are we talking about? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!